Okay, my name is James Williams Jr. So, this should be my final video for the night as I pull dead skin off my lip. Flick it anywhere but where it should be. So, if you watched my last video, the only reason I'm making this video is because something hit me like a ton of bricks. And it's about shows that cop out or shows that I think should be rebooted because they really didn't end well or they didn't really pass off as something that probably should have went away. Alright? I don't remember how the last episode of Hardcastle on McCormick goes, so that can't be on the list because my memory is short. I do remember how Sliders ended, which was a big time cop out, and Sci-Fi Channel should be ashamed of that. I do remember how Battlestar Galactica ended. Again, I didn't see the end of Caprica, but I heard that was a cop out too. But the Battlestar Galactica, the reboot, was like a major fucking cop out. So I didn't like that at all, and it just totally fucked me because you don't know what the fuck happens to Starbuck and why she magically disappears, and there's no actors revealing anything. So they're kind of like, oh well, thanks for flying us back in time and fucking apes. Now in other shows, I've mentioned the Thundercats, Johnny Quest, He-Man, those cartoons. They did just like copped out. There are other cartoons that leave you hanging and copped out because I don't know what happened at the end of Bionic 6. It only got one season, and that ended with a guy going to live in a cartoon world while the Bionic 6 kids return home. And then Jason the Wheel Warriors, they copped out. They only got one season. Galaxy Rangers got at least a season and a quarter. If they reboot that shit would be fucking awesome. I'm pretty sure it's not going to happen. But, if they're listening, I need a job. I'll play Doc, but I'm not cutting my hair. Brave Star ended pretty well, but, I didn't really like the ending. But, they have a lot of shows that have cop-out endings. So, for the live-action ones, I don't remember the ending of Airwolf. I do remember the ending of Greatest American Hero, and I think that could have had an awesome reboot. And, I'm pretty sure William Katz probably won't come back, or if he can still fit in the suit, because he's pretty cut. But I don't know if he's slim anymore to get in there. But I've seen one photo of him, and he looked pretty built. So they had to probably remake the suit. But also, would he be willing to come back is the question. Airwolf, it was a great show, but I don't remember how it ends. So like I said, we're going to leave that one out. See, what the hell was the other one? Street Justice with Brian Genesis and them. I don't remember how that ends. I gotta leave that out too. Auto Man. I don't remember how that ends. I have to leave that out. Street Hawk. I have to leave that out. But each of them had different endings. Now, being that they rebooted and remade The Flash, we're not gonna touch that with the John Wesley Ships version, which was still a pretty good show, by the way, for the 90s, for those who were watching it. When people in high school would stop picking on me, it would be the one night that they was the Flash would come on. It's like, yeah, Flash is coming on tonight. Let's go ask James about the Flash. Okay. Now, let's see. They didn't give me a great ending on Batman Beyond, but they did finish it off on one of the Justice League episodes. So that was pretty good. But at the same time, you're like, but why didn't y'all just finish the Batman and Beyond? And he could have won another season, and they didn't do that. And a lot of shows do this, but I have not for the life of me figured out why. Now, we're going to focus on my cop-outs of Sliders, Battlestar Galactica, and Stargate Infinity. What? Y'all don't know about Stargate Infinity? Gotcha. Okay, so let's start with Stargate Infinity. Please forgive me for this horrible-ass song. I didn't write it. It's a great song. I just can't sing. Built by ancients so long ago, the Stargate lay till we broke the code. Now it takes us through the universe on a mission to get back to Earth. We are hunted and on the run, but together we overcome. fighting evil across the galaxy. Stargate Infinity. Now, I know what you're thinking. What? Stargate had a cartoon? Yes, it did. Just like Starship Troopers also had a cartoon. Both cop-out endings. You don't know what the fuck happens at the end of Stargate Infinity outside of them going through that fucking Stargate. You don't know if they get their names cleared. You don't know if the rank is restored and they're like reconnected to whatever the thing is called. I want to say Federation, but that would be more like Star Trek. But there was a military group that the Stargate Infinity team worked for, and they were counted as fugitives, and they kept trying to keep the Ancient One alive because she didn't have any legs. She like had 2 arms or something and like a snake body. She did have boobs, if that counts. But you knew it was a chick. Right? There was an Indian girl on there. There was a dude that flew a jet like Ace McCloud, and some other stuff. Which also I will go into Centurions, because that also had a cop-out ending after they brought in the last 2 people to help fight Doc Terra and his cyborg companion Hacker. Well, anyway, at the end of Stargate Infinity, from what I've seen, so unless that was not the last episode, they were on their way home through the Stargate after they had this big battle with the whoever the hell the bad guys is. There aren't the guys from the TV show or the movie. There's just like a whole new band of fucking bad guys. Not the guys like the Gaul, for those who remember Stargate. Anyway, that being said, we're going to move on to Centurions. So Centurions was a cartoon about men going power extreme, and these cybernetic weapons would connect to their suit, their exoframe suits. Well, towards the end, they had got, I guess, the start of a second season. Now, I want to say it lasted a season and a half. So I only seen 3 to 5 episodes with John Thunder, the Native American, and Rex. Now, Rex and Max seemed to be like they were the same dudes. They both had the same like mustache type stuff going on, but you couldn't tell which one Crystal Kane was going to have at the end. So you don't know what went wrong with that. But then you have Ace McCloud, you have Jake Rockwell, who had apparently some love interest, but no love interest outside of Jake's fucking dog. They were specialized. Crystal was really the only hot chick on the cartoon at any given time. So that pretty much solved that. And then there was Doc Terra and cyborg companion Hacker. You don't really know what happens at the end of them. I'm pretty sure they got arrested, because the only episode I seen them without their other parts was when they were handcuffed together, because their 2 cybernetic parts joined together and became the ultimate AI and tried to kill everyone. So that's pretty much how I remember it. I could be wrong, so you guys can go Google that. But it did have a cop-out ass ending. The ending kind of sucked. I don't really remember how it ended, but I do know that you're left hanging. Okay? Now we got those out the way. Sliders. It's one of my favorite fucking shows. When Fox canceled it, Sci-Fi picked it up. It had maybe 2 or 3 more seasons on Sci-Fi Channel, and then it was gone. With the black guy diving through a portal, so you don't know if the Cro-Mags got him or didn't get him. You don't know if he saved our world or not. You learned that the main guy, I can't remember his character name, but the main guy from Stand By Me, him and his brother were never from our Earth to begin with. Their parents were sliders. So they left one child with one person on our world, and they left another child with another person from Earth on a different world, which eventually they would meet, and then they would get trapped. In like the 3rd or 4th season, they would get trapped because I guess it was some contract negotiations, and both of the brothers pretty much said, fuck it, we're out. And, you know, this happens a lot with actors. As an independent filmmaker, I know where my bread and butter lies. I have no intention of ever leaving a show if I'm lucky enough to be on there, unless the show comes to an end or I don't have a reoccurring character. Because then you don't have a choice. You're just on that one show and then your ass is done. And I'm okay with that too. I would rather have a reoccurring character and be able to run the show all the way through. And if we're going to go on cop-outs, one of my favorite shows that totally copped out was Xena Warrior Princess. But they do kill her, so it's not a cliffhanger, but it's a cop-out to, they had the power to bring her back, and what's-her-name chose not to. Gabby chose not to. But why couldn't they spin Gabby off and give her a show? Because Xena originally was a spin-off from He-Man, the Legendary Journeys or whatever. I mean, not He-Man, Hercules' Legendary Journey. So why hell couldn't Gabby carry on the show? But they didn't do that. could have called it Gabby Warrior Princess or Xena Warrior Princess the Gabby years or whatever. Because her and Joxer were doing pretty good at the end. But we won't go there. Now another show, like I said, these cop outs, Battlestar Galactica at the end, they didn't take it for the whole thing of how it would take long to get to Earth, and they did so many confusing things and rewrites and made Cylons humans and half breeds and all kinds of other stuff, and it was a good damn show. However, they copped out at the end. Instead of letting us know what happened, they pretty much gave us this: we're gonna fly all this technology that we have so that we don't protect ourselves from Cylons who may go rogue with the Cylon fraction who went back to wherever the hell they came from, as long as the humans leave them in peace and they leave us in peace, with the exception of the people who are half Cylon and half human to go either with them or stay with us. I don't really remember, but that's pretty much how they ended it, with the main ship, the Galactica, being flown into the sun with every bit of human technology, laser guns, all that shit on the ship into the breach of the sun. Boom. That fucking sucked. I'm not a writer on the show. I'm not an actor on the show. I am a fan, and that pissed me off. Because that was worse than when they were in existence and they do make it to Earth, but by the time they make it to Earth, they don't let everyone know that the Cylons are coming, and then the show went off. This show had a brief miniseries that came back because the guy that played on Falcon's Crest as Chase Shuberti was like the son of either Starbuck or Apollo. They had motorcycles that could fly, they land, they hide, and they did whatever they had to do. They solved the mathematical equation, they cured a whole bunch of diseases, and jumped back on their ship and flew back to the Galactica, and then you don't know what the fuck happens to them after the miniseries ends. You don't know what the fuck happened to the people of the Galactica. Why did they not stay on Earth? Why did they not involve Earthlings in the war against the Cylons? So, it's really some fucked up shit. So, going back to the new reboot, they copped out again. It's like, how could you fucking do this? Now, I know it wasn't about the ratings because it was one of the highly rated shows back when it came out. Because it hadn't been done like it was before. Because Battlestar Galactica in itself, the original, was a science fiction soap opera. It wasn't a science fiction drama. So when they rebooted it with my favorite female Asian actress for TV, who is no longer her wife, Ivo, sadly, they did a great job, but the ending fucking sucked. You don't know what the fuck happens to Starbuck. You don't know which Earth they came to. You don't know if they came into a time. But then when you see them land, and they start establishing all their tents and their little colonies, off in the distance when Adama is talking with the president, who's about to die, of course, he points off in the distance. He said, we have fields of miles and miles. And he says, you see those things over there? That's life forms right there. They're native to this planet. I flew by them twice this morning. And then he continues to talk to her, and he's holding her in her arms as she's watching the sun either rise or the sun sets. I don't remember, but she dies in his arms. Apollo is talking with Starbuck, and he's steadily talking to her. When he looks around to see where she is, poof, she's gone. Now, 3 episodes before that, they retrieved Starbuck's body in space, but it's a skeleton, and Starbuck sees herself. And I'm confused on that shit, but I didn't write the story, so you kind of gotta take it as it is. But at the end of the show, him and Starbuck, they did the nasty or whatever. She was on the ship with her husband before he flew it into space, and then she's back on Earth with him, and they're talking about what their plans were, and something, and then she's gone. So after the ship flies into the sun, you have a Matrix moment where Gaius and the Cylon lady are talking yet again. Trisha Hayford, by the way, very sexy, beautiful woman. So, to Grace Park, very, very sexy woman. Anyway, so I don't remember if Grace Park's character and her pilot boyfriend go with the Cylons and their daughter, or if they stayed on Earth. But I do remember that Starbuck and Apollo are talking and talking and talking, and poof, she's fucking gone. There's no knowledge of what happened to her. There's no explanation for why the fuck she disappears. They leave you hanging. There's not even an aftermath episode. Unlike my favorite sci-fi channel that they canceled but gave us the Peacekeeper Wars to end the show, Farscape, at least that wasn't a true cop-out. Now, I will say, they explained why their show was canceled. Production was too high, they didn't have enough money, and sci-fi just couldn't afford to keep, putting money into it. But they did cop out, but the fan base brought it back. So if anything happens to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., we need to bring that back. Got that? Because I wanted that show to last long enough for someone to notice me and make me an Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Because I would love to be on that show. Anyway, so with that being said, they had everything straight. Crichton was saving Aaron soon, and they were on a boat. And then somebody blew their ass to smithereens, and that was the last episode. They crumbled to dust, and Dargo and them didn't get there in time. Well, they got there in time to see them die, because they're kissing on the thing, and they stop, and she goes, "You and your timing," and then that beam hits them, and they just like crumble, slam the fuck to dust. Now, that goes away for about 6 months. And the fans erupt with anger. Me too. I wasn't the only one out there going, what the frill just happened? So then, after 6 months, the Peacekeeper Wars come. They pick you up right where those guys fall like shredded meat. Alright? So, on the cusp of them falling like shredded meat, somehow or another, the boat doesn't sink. And so Dargo and them scoop all the pieces up and somehow regenerate them and bring them back to life. And in that, they find out that Aaron is pregnant. So Aaron, for like 5 to 7 episodes, I can't remember how long the miniseries lasts, but when she finds out she's pregnant, she also gets captured. So then they finally get her back, and before she has the baby, they decide to make sure the way to Earth is permanently closed. Spoiler alert for those who are Farscape fans that missed all of this shit. So, at the end of Farscape, John Crichton goes and talks to his father. They have a good heart-to-heart, and the truth be told, I would have probably done the same thing. Especially since I don't really have a life here, and unfortunately my father's gone, but I know he would have understood why I would never be coming back. So he goes to have a heart-to-heart. Tells his father that he's never coming back, but he wants to make sure that the Earth stays permanently safe, so they're going to seal the wormhole that got them there, and he's never coming back. He says, you will have a grandson out there in space, but you will never see him, and you will never see me again. He hugs his father, they get on the ship, and then they go back up there, and they betray whoever the fuck the bad guy is. I can't remember his name, but they do betray him. And when they do it, they go into warp during the warp and seal the warp behind them. And as they do that, they phase through the bad guy's ship, because the Leviathan reached its pinnacle of growth because of its baby or whatever. Somehow or another, the little Leviathan, I think, dies, but the big Leviathan, the parent, and the thing floating inside of it, it looks like the thing from Mass Effect. Somehow they reach like some super mega power or whatever the hell it has, and it phases through the bad guys, the Peacekeepers' ship, and the Peacekeepers, they see them go through because he looks right dead at Crichton, and Crichton cracks a smile at him, and then they see the explosion of the wormhole, but the Peacekeepers can't stop us. They're flying deadly into the explosion, if I'm remembering this right. Then Crichton and them unphase and go by them like lightning fucking fast, and then the way to Earth is destroyed. And I think like not too long after that, Aaron gives birth to the baby, and Dargo unfortunately doesn't live to the end of it. And they said, we're gonna name our son. And she says, I've been thinking about this a long time. He said, you don't have to say it. No matter what you've been thinking, we're gonna name him Dargo. after Karen Dargo, who saved their lives. So that's how that ended. So I'm James Williams Jr. I probably spoiled everything for every Farscape fan out there, but totally worth it because it was a great fucking show. But for shows that cop out, dude, as an independent filmmaker, before I end this video, I'm an actor looking for work. But if I am hired, we have things that are non-negotiable because a lot of actors, we get big for our britches and we decide that, fuck it, I don't need your show. I'm going where the fuck I want to go. I am not that guy. Yes, I need your show, but especially if I'm one of those actors that the characters really love and want me to be on the show, and I'm not trying to do, like, lead the show, because when Glenn got hurt on The Walking Dead, everybody was upset. My family specifically, because he was the token Asian, and in the house, I apparently am the token Asian. So anyway, you guys will get that joke later. So anyway, my contract was specifically say, for specific movies or TV shows, look, if I'm in the show, especially like if I'm the front runner of the show, like let's say I'm the leader in the next, like say they did a rehash on Smallville, but they made Superman black and I'm Superman. The show has to have an ending. We will film the ending regardless of if it's canceled or if we're picked up or whatever. We have to have an ending, no fucking cliffhangers. Now, season finales, we can film. If we're not picked up, we have to make one ending that will fit in what our initial plan was for the show. I know that sounds like a lot, but it really isn't. If you've ever made a movie, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. And the reason why I say this is because Brandon Lee died filming The Crow just down the road here in North Carolina. And he didn't get to finish the film, and they basically shot the ending first, which is always a good idea to shoot the ending first and then shoot the beginning. Well, he didn't live long enough to reshoot the beginning takes, so they didn't get to use him for that. And they had to have a stunt guy and a whole bunch of computer-generated stuff to put Brandon Lee's face on that guy, who dives out the window, does the hand thing, the glass pops through his hand, he comes back and he does this, and you can see his eye through his hand and seal it off. Well, in the event of that, when you make a film, we generally film around the film. You know what I'm saying? You film the major scenes first, and then you fill in the fillers. And luckily, the guy that was filming The Crow decided to film the last part basically first, and then do all the good stuff, and then put in the fillers, which Brandon didn't get to live long enough to complete due to a misfiring weapon ending his life. So, in my contract, specifically for certain things, you know, it has to be straight. Look, the show has to have an ending. Because as a fucking movie fan, as a series TV fan, as a person who just loves the art of making films, the show has to have an ending. It doesn't have to be a great ending, but it can't be a cliffhanger. You know, it can leave it to their imagination. Like the last movie I just watched, It Stains the Sand Red. It's a zombie picture. Really awesome movie. You guys should check it out. But you know, anything I'm in, especially if I'm a recurring character, it has to have an ending. Not just a season finale and a season's beginning, but a fucking ending. It has to be an equitable ending. I would say probably let the fans take a vote on how it ends, whether it's happy, sad, or in the middle, or it doesn't really end. It just leaves you with like a concept of there's room for other people to take the mantle, or there's room for new jobs or whatever to come in. Because a show could honestly, I'm going to say this at the chance of this not being career suicide, but since I don't really have a career, it doesn't really fucking matter. A show can go on and on and on forever. You may change the characters or whatever, but if you leave a show like that with like room for other characters to come in and pick up the mantle, then that's fine. If you leave a show where you have the ending where, okay, everybody in the show dies, it's an ending. It ain't the greatest ending because people don't want their heroes to all die. Maybe a couple of the asshole heroes or the anti-heroes, maybe, but not like the main guy that everybody really likes. So, you know, if I'm that guy, the only way that would fly is if I'm actually dead at the beginning of the show and you don't find that out until like the end of the show, where everything you've seen from season 1, 2, and 3 is actually about me being dead, and this is what led me to my death. And then let's say that the show was picked up, but I'm dead. But the guy who finds me can't bring back to life, but I can't pass on, so I'm there to give him spiritual advice on whatever. I'm the guy that wakes him up when he gets knocked out or some shit like that. I jump into his body and I possess him to keep him from dying. That kind of shit. You know what I mean? It's a long story, but that being said, the show, any show that I'm in, whether it's a cartoon and I'm voicing the opinion or whatever, it has to have an ending or 3 possible endings, something. And I said that because as a Mass Effect game, those 4 possible endings in the trilogy totally fucking sucked, and we didn't get what we were promised. And for Andromeda, the ending was great, but we deserve a DLC and more gameplay. In fact, we deserve 6 DLCs and some outfits and shit. That being said, I'm James William Jr. This is Code Power number 2. Be seeing you. And thank you for the 25 minutes of your life that you can't get back.